mental health or attention seeking, and I think that's what we just finished talking about.
Right.
Personally, I couldn't chime in because my computer was straight tripping, but I think it's both. Personally, I think it's a little of both. He's definitely erratic, very erratic. I think that it is a little bit of him understanding that he gets publicity from this and he can gain attention and money from it, but then him also just ranting and not having much self-control at all. So I think it's a little of both, personally.
I think he's kind of exploiting himself.
That's how he makes money.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Like, he's taking what he knows is, me and Lowe's were just saying, like, he's not stupid. He's very intelligent. And that's why, like, he's exploiting himself in that manner. So for me, I think that it's both that he's doing. And he gets that sympathy, and it's kind of like, dealing with somebody that does that. They know that as long as they say, oh, it was my bipolar, I stopped taking my medicine, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you, but you knew what you was doing. You stopped taking your medicine, that, like, you know what to do, and that as long as you start taking your medicine again and you say sorry, that people will continue to say, oh, he's good now. Oh, and his wife and the family can be like, oh yeah, that was just him, he had a moment, he's okay now.
I think he kind of fears his medication because he's always had success with being free and being impromptu and being able to just create on a whim and do stuff on a whim. And I feel like he might feel that the medication might stifle that ability for him to really just tap into what has made him successful.
Right.
Yeah.
He is. And that's,
so I think he's kind of afraid to really, for real, delve into that medication piece.
And I feel that's what a lot of people who deal with mental health, that is their common, tale that they tell is, I don't feel myself, I don't feel normal, I don't, I'm groggy, I don't like the way that this makes me feel. Like, those are the things that you hear whenever you talk about, because what does medication do? It takes and it changes the chemical balance of your mind. So,
and it takes time for you to find the proper medication that works for you. So you be done messed up something before you even found what could potentially work best for you. So there's a little fear in that, I think.
Yes, I know.
So, Brandon, you wrote this. It says, "Is it the path of a celebrity, not just Kanye?" So,
all right. Yes. Okay, so think about the life of a celebrity. They're not living a normal life. They have a different level and different types of pressures than regular non-celebrity people. And, would that person necessarily have the same mental health issues if it wasn't for that level? Because Dave Chappelle was making a comment about, he'll watch certain celebrities have these breakdowns, and these are very strong people to get to where they are. So for some of these strong people to have these breakdowns, like, maybe it's not them, it's, the environment that they're in is a sick environment. So is it the path of celebrity to kind of be more susceptible to having mental health issues?
Honestly, I think that It does, because you hear a lot of stories of celebrities that come out and say all the crazy things that happen to them afterwards. Like one that I heard was Demi Moore, when I was on listening to the Red Table Talk, and how like her and Bruce Willis, when they were together, and all the crazy stuff that she used to do, and how like that was the same mentality of her mother, and how like, you know, she became a raging alcoholic, and she was dealing with a lot of issues that were suppressed. You know, I look at Antonio Brown. I mean, here, yeah, he may be a local celebrity in Pittsburgh, but you know, a lot of other people know him. But you know, he, if, for those that don't know, he is a Pittsburgh Steeler wide receiver that we got rid of. One being that he wanted to go, but another reason is because of his antics that he was having on and off the field. And you seen it. Like, he would throw things when he got mad. It's like, you got this grown ass man throwing whole pitchers of water across, slamming down his helmet, like throwing a temper tantrum on the sideline because nobody threw him the ball. Like, but those are the things that, like, you know, as celebrities, like, they can't have their private moments of, you know, just being a human being. Like, you know, we all get mad and upset, we all throw shit, like we all punch, you know, some people punch walls, some people throw stuff, some people walk away and cry, scream. You know, they can't have those moments because they are constantly in a light.
Yeah, they're under the spotlight. They got constant eyes watching them. They have constant people that are just expecting things from them, taking pieces of them, doing what, you know. It's a totally different level environment for a regular person to get into. Some people can handle it with grace, and some people can't.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when Britney Spears flipped out and like shaved all her hair off?
She's having her moment.
Shaved her head. She was drunk for like 2 years straight.
Right.
Oh, God damn.
And like K-Fed was like photobombing every crazy moment. It was like, what's happening with your life?
I forgot about her crazy.
Right, you know.
Hers is one of the biggest celebrity, you know, breakdowns that everybody's seen. You know, sometimes you hear about these people going to treatment programs or become recluses. No, you've seen hers happening out loud.
Right.
And really, you know, we laugh, but it's like, yo, that's kind of scary, because it's like, for as successful as she was, she just broke mentally.
Right. And that's what they ask about. Why do you're a celebrity and you're successful and you got money? Why would you commit suicide? Like, that happens all the time. What was the French chef, the chef guy? What was his name? He hung himself.
What was that? Anthony Bourdain?
Yeah. He hung himself. People are like, what? Like, he was living his best life ever, and you know. So, and people don't address these things when it comes to celebrities and what they're going through.
Well, it's because as a celebrity, you never know why people actually like you. It's just like, you like me for the person I am, or do you like me for what I do and how I entertain?
Oh, you got a whole lot of fake people around a celebrity.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. And it's like, you start figuring out that most people really don't care about you. They care about your money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what you can do for them.
Or like you feel pressured and stuck in what you're doing. Like, you don't have a lot of options because the money you're making is taking care of so many people. Everybody's having to rely on you to just survive, and they have to rely on you being this thing, whatever that is, singer, actor, comedian, whatever. You know, you don't feel comfortable taking any days off because it's people's well-being at stake.
Right.
And, you know, when you're in music, you know, you really work from behind the 8 ball, because for you to make any money, you got to be out on tour, you know.
Yep.
And so it's called, you know, I got to be constantly going, traveling, to where it's like you never get a chance to really sit down and just be a normal person. Even if you're like, I want to take the day off and go to the movies, you can't do that.
Nope. And you know what's even worse than music?
You got to be at somebody's performance, and then you're not being able to cultivate any of the relationships that you have, the good relationships that you have. So you're like missing out on friends' birthdays or phone calls that they might have had, loved ones, you know, time spent with your spouse, your kids, all that kind of stuff too.
Right, and then they wonder why celebrities have like affairs on the road with
It's like, how was she sleeping with her bodyguard? Because he was the one that sat there and listened to her talk.
Oh, it's a lot. But you know what's even worse though? The music's pretty bad, but pro wrestlers like WWE and all AEW,
because after you know, all these documentaries and stuff coming out about them, being like how their day-to-day life really goes. Like,
they don't go home. They're on the road like 225 days of the year. They get injured and still have to perform that night or the next night. That's why all the wrestlers we grew up with, you know, 30 perspective, like, you know, your Macho Man, Randy Savages and all that, man, that era, that Attitude Era where they were on coke and steroids and they were just trying to maintain their life.
Yeah.
And they all die like before 60.
It's fake. It's fake violence, but it's a life filled with just violence and literal injury and pain.
Right, yeah. Well, the athleticism is real. So even though the story's scripted, they still have to abuse a lot of physical abuse to do what they do.
Right. So to deal with that on a daily basis really can mess with your mental health as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I also look at like not just celebrities in themselves, but I also look at athletes because, like, you know, like you said, the pro wrestlers, but I look at like football players, especially football players, and it's like, you know, not only are they dealing with those same everyday things that, you know, that they deal with, but they're also being hit in the head.
Oh yeah,
they're having
that causes issues too.
Right, and they don't know how to. They lose, and like that's, you know, the big thing that they said about Antonio Brown is because, like, you know, he had all those concussions, and it's like that changes you. Like
it definitely does.
Things change you, and like after they came out with that movie Concussions, and you know they were saying how getting hit in the head can alter your, you know, it can alter your chemical balance. And it's like, wow, like nobody ever thought of those things until you see these, you know, players, they're healthy, you got a good life, and all of a sudden they're killing themselves. And it's like, whoa.
Or killing other people. What was that one dude, Menendez? What was his name?
Hernandez.
Yeah. He went completely off the rails.
Documentary. A wild documentary.
Yeah, but in Antonio Brown's case, you know, when you start hearing everything from behind the scenes with him, he was always kind of an asshole, and money just made him more of who he already was.
Speaking of that, I've been hearing a lot of rumblings about Ellen DeGeneres being a butthole jerk. Like she's not.
You see her wife's divorcing her and taking half her shit.
Being a butthole jerk.
Yeah, like I've heard a lot. Like there's people doing what is it? Workplace hostility suits or whatever on her.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know, it's not. But another person who was showing their mental health struggles was Michael Jackson.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. You know who else? Whitney Houston.
Big time.
Yeah, like you.
R. Kelly.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, you know, and you know, it's sad. And you know, and the messed up thing is, you know, when these people start showing they have mental health issues, people just turn their back on them. Oh, he's crazy. I'm not dealing with them no more.
Yep. It's true. So the next part says, has the media coverage been biased?
It always is. You gotta remember who writes the narrative, especially when it comes to us black people. White people write the narrative. You know, everything you see, news media, anything, white people write the narrative. So with that being said, it's always going to be on us in a negative light. Right. A white person can do the same crime as a black person and get a whole different time because it's like, oh, well, he was going through something.
Or not get time at all. Exactly. Not even get arrested. Like nothing.
Nothing. You'd be like, what happened? I wasn't feeling well mentally. That's all right. we're gonna take care of you. Black person can say the same thing. I wasn't feeling well mentally. Nigga, you going to jail.
Yeah.
monster.
Yeah, it's stressors, and like, you know, just like they say, like, you know, we look at these for instance, let's take pedophiles for instance. Like, oh, it's like they get a pass. It's like, oh, you know, and most of them are white. I'm not saying that black folks aren't pedophiles, but you know, it's like, oh, they had a whole bunch of stressors in their life, or oh, they were whatever the case may be. He was he was molested, and it's like, okay, so are you justifying him doing what he did to this person? Not saying what was done to him is right, but are you justifying what he did to somebody else as
because I do want to know what steps led a person to that place that they're in. Like, for instance, I read R. Kelly's book.
Yeah, I know that burp stank. My bad. Ew.
I was like, what do you do, fart?
Farted out his mouth.
So I was like, I read his book. I do want to know what steps or what situations brought him to this place. However, we can't stop there. He's done what he's done, and even the people that you were talking about, Alicia, you can't stop there. Oh, well, they had this happen. This is true. This is important. We do need to know that. And now that we know that, what are we going to do about this situation that has been created?
correct.
Pretty much. I mean,
Yeah, his childhood was pretty messed up, man.
Yeah. And I mean, it's one of those things with him is like, you know, yeah, you clearly have a mental illness, but you also have to pay for your actions because, you know, the person that ruined your life, now you've been the person that ruined, 100 different people's lives because of what you chose to do.
Yep.
Yeah, we were while we were waiting to come back on, like I was talking about, like we look at, and we were talking about how like even our upbringing, it's a lot different than, you know, how some white folks are brought up. Like, you know, we're taught not to speak about those things that go on in our house. Like that's the first thing our parents would tell us is, don't you go telling nobody nothing about what goes on in this house. No, nobody needs to know what's going on. And, you know, I feel a lot of that, you know, comes back to bite us in the ass, because it's like, oh, okay, well, you know, Uncle Leroy over here, he's been touching on me, but I'm not allowed to say that. I'm not allowed to tell nobody that. So what do? I internalize that. And then what do? I go and do the same thing, because I was told that you are given that it's okay for somebody to do that to you as long as they're quiet, and you got to be quiet about it. So I can go out and do the same thing, and people have to be quiet about what I'm doing too.
Now, here's a question with that. Do y'all think that Jay-Z should have spoke up about R. Kelly when they canceled that tour because of what he was doing?